Hello my friends, my name is Artur Rehi and I am an Estonian soldier. I made the last video about the F-35. I thought it's the most advanced and powerful aircraft in the world, and I said it, and oh boy, you guys did not like that. No, what you said is the F-22 Raptor is the most advanced and powerful aircraft in the world. What is the F-22 Raptor? I've never heard about it. I've only heard about the F-35, I've seen all of the drama about it, all of that lobbying work, all of that 16 years of production, that expensive price tag, and you guys told me that the F-22 is more expensive. Another thing that blew my mind. I guess you already guessed today's video, it is about the F-22, and another thing you guys said is that the US does not export the F-22 because it's so good, they don't want anybody to have it, but they export the F-35 because it's cheap and bad. Well, it's not cheap, it's not bad, but it's apparently not as good as the F-22. Today we're going to find out what is the F-22 and why don't you guys export it. Before we get into that, I have 3 new patrons to thank. If you're a patron, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You make this channel possible. To be a patron is the most direct and best way to support the channel, so thank you so much to all of the patrons. We have 3 new names. First of all, we have Ian. Thank you, Ian. Second of all, we have Eric Pugh. I don't know. Thank you, Eric. Third of all, we have Quarkbutt. That's your real name, right? I know. Show me your birth certificate, Mr. Quarkbutt. Thank you. Grab your Estonian Youtuber Cup. If you don't have it, go and order it. Drink some green tea or coffee or whiskey or rum with my videos, and let's go. We have a lot of work to do today.
This is why the US doesn't export the F-22.
Because it's so good, apparently.
The F-22 Raptor is considered the first 5th generation fighter in the US Air Force inventory. Using low observable technologies, modern avionics, and efficient engines to offer an air superiority fighter unmatched by any other modern military. The F-22 Raptor, a critical component of the Global Strike Task Force, is designed to project air dominance rapidly and at great distances and defeat threats attempting to deny access to our nation's Air Force, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps.
You guys told me that this plane is from the 70s or 80s. It is about 30 years old by now and still supposed to be the best, better even than the new ones. How is this possible? How? And another question is, if it's so old, the tech in it must be old. Are you always renewing the tech inside? Are you updating the tech, upgrading it? I don't know, I'm asking, because this seems too good of a thing to be true, you know. You make a wonderful plane in the 70s and it's still relevant and good and the best in the world in 2020. How is it possible? What's the secret behind it?
The F-22 cannot be matched by any known or projected fighter aircraft.
Alright.
At one time the US
Wait a minute, no, I mean the Russia and China. This plane is from Cold War, obviously. Cold War was all about matching the enemy tech, so it's from Cold War. Russia and China should have something to match it with. Do they? You named MiG, but those planes, I know them to be not as good as the F-22 or F-35. Actually, you guys kinda hated on the MiGs, saying they're like scrap metal, they're not worth anything. I don't know what's the truth here. This is my pedestal here. First place, the F-22, okay. The second place, F-35. Third place, MiG, Russian. True or false?
Air Force's now retired F-22 program was the most expensive and most advanced fighter in the world. It was eclipsed only by the USAF's 5th generation system, the F-35. But even during its development, the United States Congress ensured the US military couldn't share the technology with anyone, even allies. Yet American allies were the first to use the more advanced F-35 fighter in combat. What's the difference? The $62 billion F-22 program would have certainly had some of the research and development costs alleviated had the sale of the fighter been approved for American allies, but the Obey Amendment to the 1998 Department of Defense Appropriations Act very specifically prevents the sale of the F-22 Raptor to any foreign government, and they were lining up to buy.
I could imagine they were lining up to buy them, and we found out how many countries want the F-35, and that's supposed to be inferior to the F-22, and countries want that. So I think many countries would still nowadays want to buy the F-22, but they don't sell it. You guys don't sell it. That's smart, my friends.
Developing the kind of technology that makes the F-22's radar signature closer to that of a bumblebee would take billions of dollars and untold years to develop independently. Why would a country allied with the United States want to make that kind of military effort when they could just purchase the tech? Well, until they received the F-35s, they simply couldn't.
Oh, alright, as I understand, developing these planes is expensive as hell. You need to be a very powerful nation to be able to develop weaponry and planes like that. It takes a lot of testing, a lot of money, a lot of years, decades. As a smaller country, you might have the money to buy the plane, but you don't have the money to develop it on your own. So what the countries, as it said, what the countries are doing, as I understand how it works, is they're just waiting for the tech-savvy Americans to work out a newest tech plane, and then they want to buy it. Horrible for them, F-22 is not for sale. It's not for sale, man. But the F-35 is, and they're gonna make a lot of money with it. The US is gonna make a lot of money with it. But I always figured, why don't the countries just build their own planes? But now I get it. It's you can't. It's impossible. It takes too much money, too much work, too much time. And the Americans have already done it, so why do it again? We can just buy them. Well, you couldn't, but now you can.
Israel wanted the F-22. Japan was very interested in obtaining some F-22s for its self-defense forces. If Japan was able to buy, South Korea would have wanted parity, then Singapore, then Australia. Even China would have expressed an interest. Despite the passage of time, Japan's neighbors are still worried about the rebirth of militarism in the island nation. And now that China's own air forces are developing advanced stealth fighters of their own, the need for stealth fighters in the hands and the skies of American allies is more important than ever. And this was true even in the 1990s. But Congressman Dave Obey wasn't having any of it. The congressman worried that the stealth technology on the F-22, which still makes a smaller radar cross-section than even the F-35, would end up in the hands of China.
It beats the F-35 in radar tests. It is more invisible than the F-35, although it's at least 20 years older. It's a whole generation older, and it's still more invisible. Why do you make a new plane that is worse than the last one? Why do you reinvent the bicycle? That means, why do you build something that is already exists in a better form? Well, one of the answers, as you guys told me in the comments, I actually learned a lot from the comments from you guys. You told me that America needed an export weapon. That was the F-35. It's inferior to F-22, but it's a way to make money, it's a way to send American tech all over the world, but still gain the upper hand by F-22. It's a very genius marketing strategy, actually. It makes a lot of sense to me now. You make perfect plane, then you make a little bit of lesser perfect plane, and you sell that with a huge amount of revenue, and you still get the better plane. But I don't understand why you guys are all hating on F-35. You guys really passionately hate that plane, some of you. That I don't understand, because it's just a foreign export, as I understood. What would be the right way to watch my videos? Well, to drink tea from the Estonian Youtuber Cup. I drink green tea every time. I know some of you drink whiskey or rum or moonshine or coffee. Pick whichever thing you want to drink. Drink it from the Estonian Youtuber Cup. Best way to watch my videos. Let's add some names to the board, to the Hall of Fame. They will be remembered in history. We have Julia Jansen. I could say Julia Jansen, but why I say Julia is because she ain't from America. No, she's from Arnhem, the Netherlands. The Netherlands? We don't have the Netherlands on the board. It's an entire new country. We need another marker for that. I wrote the Netherlands. Hey lad, you're part of the Netherlands. Let's add the N also. There's not much room in the countries board, so you better be fast. We have McCullough. I said Mac, and you guys commented it's Mick. If you're from Scottish roots, it's McCullough. McCullough, I don't know. I'm improvising, I'm trying to. Michael, you're from Brook Park, Ohio. New numbers for Ohio, yeah baby. I like the Arabic numbers more. Alba Gutierrez. Gutierrez is a Mexican name, right? Alba, that I have no idea what it is. Don't know where it's from. You're from Hayward, California. Welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place. Such a lovely face. 21 for California, the same number that you need to beat a drink in California. David Radtke. David, you're from Loreto. Italiano, Loreto. No, it's not from Italy, it's from Tennessee. We have once again Roman Manning. Roman, how many times you have figured in this channel? A lot of times. And this is the 5th time I hear your name. Way to go, brother. You're doing good. Roman, you haven't moved. Still in Panama City Beach, Florida. Will Florida be the state of the day again? Who knows? 20 for Florida out of 3 out of which are done by you, Roman. Way to go. We have Michael Van Vossen. I don't know how it's supposed to be German, I think. Michael, you are from Hepsibach. Very German family name, very German city name. It's in Georgia, which is not German at all. Finally, we have Dominic Garcia. Mr. Garcia, you are from Borderville, California. You know what this makes California? State of the day. State of the day. State of the day. California, you did it. Way to go, Dominic. You made Cali the state of the day. You're a hero for your home state. Last time it was Florida, now it's California. It's the Sun States. I thought it's gonna be Texas all the time, but no, it's California. You know what we'll do? All of the states to be state of the day will have a green line under their name to record them in history forever. Let's do it. Till now it's just Florida and California, but in the next video there will be a new state of the day. Go and get the Estonian Youtuber Cup. Be a magnificent hero for your home state and for your country, USA. Back to the video.
China or Russia if sold to allies, especially Israel. It seems Congress was worried the Israelis would leak US tech to China the way American intelligence believes Israel aided China in the development of its J-10 fighter. Since then, the House of Representatives has had a number of debates and discussions about whether or not they should repeal the law. The Department of Defense remains neutral on the subject, but critics of the Obey Amendment argue that critical American industries would stand to benefit from parts and continued production of the F-22. Parts of the plane are made in plants in Marietta, Georgia, to Palmdale, California, and a few places in between. American manufacturing centers have had to sink the cost of research and development as well as advanced manufacturing techniques since the production of the fighter ended.
It has ended. There's no more production. Why do you not produce the best and most advanced aircraft in the world anymore? Why not? I mean, you have the F-35, you produce it for foreign countries, but as I understood, for yourself you need the F-22. Or maybe you just have all of them, you don't need more, right? When did the production end? How many are there in the world? How many did the US produce? Because I know they won 2,500 F-35s, so how many F-22s are there right now? Should be more, because it has been around for so long.
Ultimately, the F-22 program was ended because it was very costly.
Okay.
And the need for an air-to-air fighter to counter Soviet fighters just wasn't the US military's priority any longer.
Alright.
The US military purchased 183 Raptors, well short of the proposed 381. But then China and Russia began producing next-generation fighters anyway, so the US doubled down on the Joint Strike Fighter. So why can our allies like Israel and Japan get the world's most advanced multi-role fighter?
You want to tell me that US produced or bought only 300 plus F-22s, only 300, when it wants to buy 2,500 F-35s which are inferior? I don't buy that, no, not in the world. You want to buy 10 times more F-35s than you did F-22s, although they are not as good. Doesn't make sense to me. But that part did make sense, that the Cold War ended and you didn't need any more. I mean, the Soviet Union's fighters weren't a problem for you anymore. So you don't need to put money into that area anymore, because you need to put money into whichever is the biggest threat, right? And the aerial superiority wasn't that big of a thing anymore, I guess, after the Cold War. Now I think you would need more air to land power.
The F-35 was always intended to be an internationally developed fighter system. US allies were always supposed to have access to it and help bear the costs of developing all that mighty tech, much of which was developed in the quest for the F-22. Lockheed Martin, the leading manufacturer of stealth aircraft in the world, proposed a new hybrid between the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning on April 22, 2018 for Japan to purchase, and it could easily outclass the US Air Force. Japan has for decades wanted in on the US Air Force's F-22.
Japan is just for Japan, a special offer just for you, Japan. Eh? You pay good, we make you special airplane. Take it, boom. Better than the US Air Force. It is funny how even countries can be like humans. You know, you have candy, then you say no one can have my candy, and then this one kid always like, I want your candy, I want your candy, I want your candy. So you give one to him. You're all happy. Japan is like that kid, like, I want it, I need it. Well, here you go. You get the new plane now. Yeah, and Japan would need it also. I mean, Chinese and Japanese don't get along quite good now, because Japan is one of the biggest allies of America in the Far East. And China does not like that at all.
Range, high-capacity stealth fighter that perfectly suits its defense needs. Except one problem. The US won't sell it. While completing the F-22, the US ruled out its sale to allies as the technology involved in the plane was too advanced for export. But this decision took place 11 years ago in 2007. Today, the US is in the process of selling Japan the F-35 multi-role strike aircraft, but according to Justin Bronk, an air combat expert at the Royal United Services Institute, the plane's design makes it less than ideal for Tokyo. The F-35 is primarily a strike aircraft, intended to hit well-defended targets on the ground, and is limited in air-to-air combat because of its size.
Yeah, you guys told me that in a dogfight, F-22 would beat the F-35 any day of the week, which is so different than what we heard in the last video, which I now understand is full propaganda. It propped up the F-35, it's the best thing in the world. And I thought it's true, but no, I know better now. It's just an export product to make money out of.
Single engine, and the way it was designed, Bronk said. But because Russian and Chinese jets constantly pester Japan's airspace, Tokyo wants a more air dominance-focused jet. The F-22 can cruise at 60,000 feet, going about 1.5 times the speed of sound without igniting the afterburners, meaning it can maintain its stealth while covering incredible distances in short times. The F-35 is a capable fighter but can't touch those numbers. Along with a bigger missile loadout, it's a much more capable for air superiority tasks, Bronk said of the F-22. The striker role that Japan really cares about is not really the one that the F-35 is designed for. He added that Japan would love a jet that can fire anti-ship missiles, but that the F-35 is just too small to hold them inside its stealthy weapon base. President Donald Trump has moved to loosen up restrictions on foreign military sales, and could potentially revisit the decade-old ruling on selling the F-22, as the sensitive technology it uses has aged and become less cutting-edge. But that same advancement in technology has likely doomed the F-22's restart. Bronk said the costs of restarting the F-22 production were not trivial, and even if Japan offered to pay, a lot of the electronic components, computer chips and things, are not built anymore. The F-22 had a decades-long development that started off with 1980s era technology. If you were going to put the F-22 into production now, it's hard to justify doing without updating the electronics, Bronk said.
So you want to produce the plane again to sell it. I mean, Trump is a businessman. He wants to make money, right? He wants to make money off the F-22 also. Nowadays, it doesn't matter anymore that you can't sell it because the technology is older, but restarting it, of course, new tech, new production, you basically have to pay for the production line again, which you have already paid for in the past, so it's a double negative. I think it wasn't really thought through well. What US could have done was not sell it first, produce all of the parts and a lot of the planes, and then 15 years later, when the parts and the planes are not that cutting edge tech anymore, then they could sell it without having to reproduce all new ones. But now they don't have the spares, and they have to actually produce them all again with a very expensive price tag. Many countries wouldn't even want to buy it if they have the newer F-35, because the F-22 it would be just so expensive. Because I heard, you guys told me it's more expensive. You have to pay more for older plane. Some don't want to do that.
Electronics became updated and take up less space and throw off the balance of the jet, the flight software would need an update. Once the flight software starts getting updated, it starts to look like a new fighter program, Bronk said. This would create a serious headache for the US Air Force. In the end, Lockheed's proposal looks like an F-22 airframe jammed with F-35 era technology, essentially stripping the best part of each jet and combining them in a plane that would outclass either. If it can stomach the costs, then not only would Japan have a fantastic fighter on its hands, but perhaps problematically, it would be more capable than anything the US Air Force is flying, Bronk explained. In the end, the US Air Force would end up in a very difficult position, having to live with Japan getting a better fighter or spending money earmarked for F-35s, which the US sees as the future of its force, on another aircraft it didn't come up with.
I feel like I have a better glimpse of truth and the realistic situation right now. F-35 newer but not as good and cheaper. F-22 better but older. They don't produce them anymore, so a lot more expensive. And if you want to reproduce them again, you would have to pay a lot for the plane and a lot for the infrastructure to be built again around the production. It's not a very good situation right now, and I think they cannot scrap the F-35 anyway, because it's, you know, all of the lobbying and creating jobs in America, the politics cannot scrap a thing like that. They're going ahead with the F-35, and I don't think they're going to restart the F-22, even if Trump wants to do it. What happens in the next video, that's for you to decide. Become a patron, send me a message, and I will react to it. That's how it works. Patron tiers have changed. There are different tiers now, and you get different things for those tiers. A new product comes to the store soon. Right now we only have one, the Estonian Youtuber Cup, which you should go and get before the new product arrives. But the new product will come, and it's super cool. As always, my friends, until my next video, stay cool and bye bye.